Let's go. Guys, we are back on the water. And as you can see, these conditions are not ideal. Cold, it's kind of rainy, cloudy, a little windy. We actually had a bundle up today, so I was out fishing on Friday, today's Sunday, and me and my buddy Tim caught some studs, hammers, schlabberschlankies, donkeys, some hogs, some pigs. You get the point. And we were using a technique that I feel like a lot of guys do not use. I've talked to guys before and like, yo, crappie will always feed up. They feed up, they feed up, they feed up. I said, well, I've caught them a couple times when my jig was down on the bottom. Nah, it's probably when you started cranking it back up and that's when they whack it. And that's far from the case. So today's not a day to really go out here and fish and try to show you how to catch these fish. Today's goal is to talk about 2 techniques to help you put bigger crappie in the boat. So let's get into it. All right, so let's get into this first technique. And before I talk about it, I want to actually talk about how I kind of got into it. I think it was October when I came across it. It was kind of fall, it was cold. And I was hitting all these offshore locations. I would see the fish, but I couldn't catch them. I might get a follower here, a couple bites here, but I wasn't really catching them. And I wasn't catching quality if I was catching them. So I started getting frustrated. And this is where you can thank God for emotions and feelings, because I threw out there and I was like, you know what? I'm just irritated. I'm going to just let it sink to the bottom and I'm going to just work it back like a shaky head. And, I was working it back and I got a bite. I was like, all right, they might be down there. It might be a brim. It might be a catfish. It might be something else. I'm still working it, got another bite, and I set the hook and it was like a 2.5 pound crappie. And I was just like, we might be on to something. Throw it back out there, caught another one that was probably like 1.5 pounds. Then I caught another one that was 2 3/4, and then I caught another one that was like lower 2s. And I was like, man, this is crazy. This is really working. Well, a lot of the times what I've noticed by doing this is that your smaller ones will be up top, but your larger crappie will be hunkered down toward the bottom. And if you keep that bait down there toward the bottom, they're eventually going to see it or hear it, and they're going to eat it if they're hungry. And before I really dive into this, I'm going to let you know something right away. You will get hung up in this technique. This technique here, using this little jig, you're going to get hung up, so just understand that. I think it was Gerald Swindle talking about, if you ain't getting hung up, you ain't in the right spot. So to get this bait down there, to feel that structure, to be banging around, you will be in the right spot. You're going to have hang-ups, you're going to break off, and that's part of the process. But like I was mentioning, last year when I was doing this, I did not have a weed guard on here. I did not have a weed guard, and I could still get it through that cover pretty good. And every once in a while I would get hung up. Every once in a while you get a small little bite and you set the hook and you slam that hook right into one of those logs or the branches. But I'm telling you right now, the quality that is down there using this technique is insane. So as you see right here, this is a 2-inch Slayer by Dirty Bait. And like I mentioned, I put all the stuff down in the link so you guys can go ahead and check it out. Now, Dirty Bait doesn't have an online site yet, but he does have some spots here local in Alabama to where you can pick them up. And he also does orders every once in a while. If your order's big enough, he'll send some out to you. But as you can see, I slid it in here, and I actually did something kind of slick on here. I actually took a razor blade and I did it to about 10 baits before I came out. And what I did is I slit the belly to kind of allow that bait to open up a little bit. Because if you don't have that bait open up a little bit and you have that bait on here, if I push it up here to where it probably would be on the belly, you can see that that hook is not exposed at all. So cutting that bait a little bit allows that bait to kind of slide down and expose more of this hook when you set that hook. So you can still slide this up and kind of hide the hook a little bit, so when it is down there, that bait is kind of standing up, dancing around just a tad bit. But that's exactly what it looks like. A little ball head, and I think it's an 1/8 ounce. It's got the little weed protector, and I got this Slayer on here. And it is the fall, so you want to kind of match the hatch the best you can. So using any kind of bait color, bait fish color, is going to work out the best for this. And as you can see, it will stand up, and that little tail just going to go crazy. Now, how I fish it, I throw it out there and I let it sink all the way to the bottom, and I maintain bottom contact, so I have to feel that on the bottom. And then I might pop it every once in a while. I feel it, I might feel that structure, pop it every once in a while. I might shake the rod tip every once in a while and make that bait dance just a tad bit. And then once you get that bite, hang on. Now my setup, I talk about this setup all the time. It's bass fishing gear, but I downside the line so it allows me to use this for crappie. And if you set the drag nice, you know, you can fight any kind of fish. You can fight brim all the way up to a 35-pound striper. So a 7-foot medium powered rod, a 2500 series reel. I usually use 8 to 10 pound line. And then my leader line, if you use this, there's 2 things that you need to consider. Heavier line, so when you do get hung up, you can pull that bait free. And if you need to pull that bait free, you need to make sure that your jig head hook is a light wired. If you have a stout one, when you try to break that free, you're going to lose a lot of jigs doing that. And another important thing about this is, if you look over my shoulder, I got 3 units up there. I got Mega Live, I got 360, I got side imaging up here, I got mapping, I got it all. And this is a technique that you don't need any of that stuff. It just actually helps me out. Now, you can go around and find this structure on your side imaging and your down imaging. Come back and fish it the same way. I like using the 360 because I can see kind of how that structure is laid. A lot of the times, if I'm fishing the main river on one of these ledges or on one of these flats, when that piece of structure is kind of parallel with the river, it works the best. So when I'm using my 360, I can see kind of how that tree is set up. So if it is perpendicular, I can come out here off to the side, out in the channel, throw up and bring that bait all the way down that tree. So if it's, you know, this way, and a lot of the times your fish like to position upriver because that's the way the current's flowing south, so they like to be facing up north. So if that tree is, you know, north to south, sitting north to south, when you throw up, you're actually bringing it down the entire tree, feeling all those branches. So positioning yourself is very, very key doing this. Now, when you're fishing this bait, there's 2 things that you need to kind of pay attention to. The first is the bite. It's going to be a hard thump. Those bigger fish are going to suck that up real quick, and you're going to feel that bite, and you set that hook and you hang on. The second thing is as you work it, you might not feel that bite, but you're going to feel weight. When you feel that weight, don't forget, hook sets are free. Set that hook and bring that fish in. So there are 2 things that you need to pay attention to. So always pay attention when you're fishing this jig. All right, so let's go ahead and line up on this piece of structure right here. And I'm going to show you what it looks like on forward facing sonar. I'm going to show you what it looks like on 360. And then you'll be able to see how I kind of work it. All right, so you can see right here, there's some crappie right here. There's a style that's all the way up. But right here, you can see how it's kind of laid down. So it's actually laid down from the bank and out. So what we're going to do is we're going to position ourselves kind of out here, and we're going to work across this piece right here, this lay down right here. That's what it looks like right there. All you do is hit that target lock right there. It's on target lock, so the Ultrex will keep us pinned in a GPS location, and then the target lock stays right on the piece of structure. So right here, as you can see on 360, this is where we are. There's the piece of structure right there. So without this, you could still make an accurate cast. You just put your rod here and say, oh, it's right there. Every once in a while, when you move around with the 360 with the trolling motor, because it's going to try to hold us in a spot lock, the location will move. So now you can see it was over here off to the left hand side. Now it's over here right in front of us. And as you can see, it kind of lays across like this. And there's a piece that lays across right here. So we can actually still work this piece here and then kind of work down this piece of structure right here. But it looks like there's a lot more fish kind of up here toward maybe like the root part of it. But we're going to go ahead and try to target that using that same technique. Right here, you can see there's a pile there. There's a stop right here. So let's go ahead and get into it. You throw it out. There's our bait falling down right there, coming down into this pile right here. And like I said, you let that bait go all the way to the bottom. And what you do is you reel up the slack. I think something already got it. Something had it. it was going off to the left hand side. I felt him on there. I felt that tension. I told you, if you feel weight, you set the hook, and I didn't set the hook. I didn't want to be in a brush pile and get stuck. So something followed it down, something took it already. There you can see on the 360, looks really, really good. 360 is an amazing tool to kind of let you know what kind of structure, which way the structure is kind of laying and facing. But that's a beautiful picture right there. And look, we have turned multiple times already, and we still got the same image right here on our helix unit, because that target locked us straight on this piece of structure right here. If you're an offshore fisherman, I highly recommend target lock. It is insane. I didn't like it at first, but now I probably couldn't fish without it. So there's our bait going down into the structure. You can see right there, about to fall down right in on the top of it. Something's following it right now. But like I said, we're gonna try to get it all the way down to the bottom. Oh, something already bit it. Something followed it down. I'm gonna shake it. We're down on the bottom. So now I'm gonna reel up the slack. I'm gonna keep that bottom contact. I'm gonna just shake the rod tip just a tad bit. Give that tail a little wiggle. It's a very slow technique. You don't have to speed up. Just take your time and wait for that bite. And if you're here too long, obviously they don't want it like this. You just go to another spot. So the water temperature, I think, is about, I don't have it up here yet, I'm not sure why, is at 62 degrees. It's not overly cold yet. Last year when I did this, we had, I think it might have been snowing in October when I was doing this technique, and the water temperature was definitely in the 50s. And our fall last year was pretty cold here in Alabama. But usually when the water temperature gets real cold, when they're really hunkered to this structure, it works really good. But you know, it was, I think it was 63 on Friday, which was 2 days ago. And me and my buddy caught some slabs doing the same technique. We were fishing above them. We were fishing jigs. We were fishing hair jigs. We were fishing a bunch of stuff through them, above them, and we couldn't get them to bite. My buddy slowed down and caught the first giant. So we knew after that what we needed to do. And we just worked this technique right here. So the second technique is going to be a drop shot. Now, as you can see, I have a tungsten weight. It's going to allow that bait to get down there just a little bit quicker. And it is still that 1/8 ounce. A lot of my jig heads, I use an 1/8 ounce. So I'm going to use an 1/8 ounce right here to not allow the bait to get down too fast, but it's going to get down there fast enough. And then as you can see, it's probably only about 4 inches, maybe 5 inches from the weight. And like the other one, the jig head is always going to be on the bottom and you're kind of shaking it. Keeping it close to the weight, you know, from that 5 to, you know, or that 6 to maybe 4 inch range, it's still going to allow that bait to be down low, and you want it to be down low. And I'm using a drop shot hook, and it does have a keeper on it. And I always talk about the dirty bait slayer, but the slayer on this, I actually had to cut the middle out just like I did that jig head one. And it probably still will work, but this one right here is by Zman, and it's a laziest. So I can still put it in there. It stretches really well, and when I do set that hook, it's going to penetrate that soft plastic really well. And I still cut the belly out on this as well, but I folded it up in half, and I cut it with scissors because you can't cut it with a knife. I tried, and it was a razor blade too. But if I present this to dirty bait, I guarantee he has the chemicals to make something laziest-y, so be on the lookout for that too. I'm gonna have to mention that to him. He's probably absolutely gonna love this. So as you can see, we still have that 2-inch little profile, just like that little slayer, but it's going to be on the drop shot. Now, the other one, you know, it does have that little weed guard on it, but from time to time you do get hung up. Now with this doesn't get hung up as often. It still can, because it's got that laziest, and the hook can be exposed really quick. So if you do, you know, get stuck between, you know, 2 little branches or something like that, it could get hung up. but it doesn't get hung up as much, and it still stays down there close to the bottom where those bigger crappie are going to be. So using that jig head and the drop shot rig are going to help you catch bigger crappie during any time of the year. Most importantly, during the fall, because that's when they fatten up and they start to get those eggs ready for the spawn in the spring. All right, so one quick tip about fishing this type of structure. We just did get hung up right there, but it wasn't on the hook. It was actually just kind of right here. It was just stuck right here, not in the hook, because I don't see the hook exposed and I can see a little bit of that stuff right there. But when you're fishing this type of structure, especially if it's a laid down tree, you know, if you are making casts and every cast you're getting hung up and it's on a drop shot or it's on that weed protected little jig head, you need to change your angle. I'm going to try to explain this the best I can. If you look at these trees, it grows up like this, and then the branches grow out like this, almost like making a V shape, coming out this way, coming out, because they always grow out, I guess, up toward the sun. So they grow up this way. So if I'm sitting down here by the root ball and I'm throwing up this way and I'm dragging this way, I'm getting stuck in those V's that those branches make every single cast. So either turn back around and fish the root ball and drag up toward the branches, or come off to the side, throw across it, and bring it across those branches. Just a tip that you can remember is that if you keep getting hung up in a location, when you make those casts, change your location, approach it at a different angle. But there you have it, guys. There are 2 new techniques that you can add to your arsenal to help you catch bigger crappie during any time of the year. But if you already do these, leave a comment down below. Let me know which technique you use and the biggest fish that you caught off doing this technique. But if you like that video, or you think this video is going to help you out, or you feel like this is neat to add to your arsenal, smash that like button. If you want to see upcoming videos, go ahead and subscribe. But until then, I'll see you next time. Peace.